Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining another segment of Wednesdays with Wendy. My name is Wendy Garvin Mayo. For those of you who may be joining for the first time, I am the founder of Shape Partners. I'm so excited that you're here and joining us live. And for those who are watching the replay, I'm happy that you're here watching the replay. So welcome. Today, we're going to be talking about quantity versus quality of life. This is a really important topic for us as individuals and for those of us who may be caregivers. So I did a survey in the cancer caregiver community with Shape Partners, as well as I posted a question on the Shape Partners page, trying to gauge what people value. Is it quantity of life or quality of life? And all the individuals who responded said they value quality of life, which I'm not surprised. But depending on what's going on in our life, that can always change. So I wanted to start off by what is quality of life? It's really a standard of health, comfort, and happiness. I have notes here, experienced by an individual. Or it's whatever you believe it is. And I believe, all these definitions we talk about, it really is your interpretation or our interpretation of what it means to us. And there is a quality of life model that really assess the 3 B's. So being who you are, right? Asking yourself who you are. Belonging, how do you connect to individuals in the world? And becoming, are you achieving your personal goals, aspirations, or hope? Personally, I feel like our quality of life really encompasses the 8 dimensions of wellness that we spoke about. And I'm going to just go over them briefly for those of you who may not have watched that video, but they are spiritual. So do you have purpose and meaning in life? Intellectual, are you expanding your knowledge and skills? Emotional, are you coping with life? Physical, a physical activity, diet, are you sleeping enough? Are you eating right? Social, are you connected, right? So that's that belonging that we just talked about. Occupational, are you satisfied with work? Financial, are you satisfied with the amount of money you have? And environmental, support your well-being. So I believe quality of life is really being okay with where you are in all those 8 dimensions of wellness. Now, things happen in life that can really disrupt our quality of life, such as being diagnosed with cancer or having a loved one, receive a new diagnosis of cancer, and then our roles transitioning from, mother, wife, sister, brother, cousin to caregiver. That is really, it changes, your quality of life or how you may look at your quality of life. And then it adds a complexity to that because you're not only concerned about your quality of life, but you're also concerned and have to consider your loved one's quality of life or quantity of life. And I think it's really important to have those conversations, ongoing conversations with your loved one regarding quantity and quality of life, because you don't want to mix signals, because you may value quality of life, but your loved one may value quantity of life. And sometimes that changes just depending on what's going on. And as caregivers, you also become the advocate for your loved one, but you also have to advocate for yourself. So it's really a balancing act. And in order to appropriately advocate for your loved one, you really have to understand and respect where they stand on quality versus quantity of life. And quantity of life can come into play if someone values being here to see a milestone of a child, a husband, something, but it can transition from quality to quantity. So having those discussions are really essential. And I put together 10 questions that, you may want to consider asking healthcare providers if your loved one is diagnosed with cancer. And I think this will really help open up the discussion about where we are in terms of treatment, what are the goals of therapy. I'm going to go through them very briefly. So it's important to understand what are the characteristics of the cancer. Is it a solid tumor? Is it metastatic disease? Is it heme malignancy or blood cancer? Really understanding that and understanding those terms is very important. What's the treatment plan? What's the schedule, right? Because this can impact the quality of your life and or the quality of your loved one's life. If you have to be there for 3 days out of the week, if you have to be there weekly, if you have to be there monthly, all these things are important. Is there financial assistance to pay for the therapy? Because again, that can really impact that dimension of that financial dimension. So are there resources available? What are the side effects of the treatment regimen and how are you managing them at home? What is the impact on quality of life, on your loved one and on you? So really getting an understanding of what your provider believes your quality of life would be, or the quality of life of your loved one, is really important. And also asking your healthcare provider, what's their view on quality of life versus quantity of life? I think that's a really important question. And I think it's a fair question that you can ask to get their perspective. And you also want to know who's a part of your healthcare team. Do you have a social worker? You have the nurses. Do you have a nurse navigators? What do they do? How do you utilize them? Is palliative care part of your healthcare team? How can you utilize them? And what is your healthcare provider's model working with you as the caregiver, which is essential. And I think it's a fair question because, like I said, when your loved one's diagnosed with cancer, it doesn't only impact them, but it also impacts you. And you want to know how you can really be part of that healthcare team, right? Because you are a very essential part of that healthcare team. And you also want to know how you best can provide input during the appointment or after the appointment. Yes, your loved one is the one who's diagnosed with cancer, but again, it's impacting both of your lives. So of course you want to know, how can you benefit? How can you provide input, right? Because you're with your loved one when you leave there. That's why you are a very essential part of the team, because you bring a different perspective on what's going on. And the last question is, what resources do you provide for the cancer patient as well as the cancer caregiver, such as yourself? And that's also important because those things are going to help really fuel, your 8 dimensions of wellness or your quality of life. And that's really important. So it's really important to keep the conversation going with your loved one as to what they value, because things may change and you cannot appropriately advocate unless you are aware of what they value. Is it quantity versus quality of life? And then make sure you're balancing what you believe is important in your own quality of life. What dimensions of your wellness are lacking that you may need to kind of work on, or put some goals in place for, because you have to be stable and working at full capacity in order to provide the care to your loved one. So with that, I will leave you with be your best, to do your best, and give your best. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat and I will answer them after the video. Thank you so much and have a good night. Bye-bye.